Hello, my name is Caitlin, and I am here on Busy Writers Live for this video to talk about how to title your book, which can be very easy or also a pain in the butt. You can do this at any part of the writing process. There are some people who think you should do it right at the beginning. There are some people who think you should wait till the end. I personally do it whenever I get the inspiration. That can be in the beginning, middle, or end. It really doesn't affect the story at all when you find out which title would be your best. You don't have to do it in the outline. Now, also when you do save your Word doc for your book, you probably want to put something under there to indicate that it's there, and that can be either File 101 or something. I don't know. It doesn't have to be its title. Anyway. And you should also know that when you're creating the title and the subtitles, is that subtitles are what people are searching. What they type in the Google search box to find, or the Amazon search box to find your book. So that's also a thing to talk about before I start going through all these steps. Also know that when you do make your title, you don't want to give out the ending, okay? The most cliche one I was able to find is we're all going to die. If everybody's going to die and you actually put in, we're all going to die, it is intriguing, especially to me, but it is a spoiler and actually gives away the ending, which you should not do. That's the reason they're trying to make a book. Now here I'm going to start. 1, you need to make a list of 10 different titles that sound nice. That is a lot of work, especially if you put a lot of thought into each one, but you need to make a list. Even if they sound crappy, put them in there because, quite frankly, the most important people who will be reading your title is your readers and your buyers. And there is no limit. You need to go as much as possible. And then with all of those really good titles and really bad ones, you'll weed out the ones that aren't meant for you. So 2, you need to think about keywords of your book that serve a purpose. For example, my book title is Superers, which actually isn't a real word, but it is the name of the main creature in my book since I write fantasy. Half vampire, half human breed. And that's the big title for the whole series because it actually has a purpose in my novel. I mean, the word is mentioned at least 10 times a chapter. So when you think about your keywords, you need to think about a creature, or you can think about an important name. This could be the protagonist or even the antagonist, I've heard. They can be the names of places, or they can, especially for romance novels, they can even be the occupation of the protagonist. And when you are considering these keywords, you need to think about what the point of view is. And also you need to think of the genre. Like I said, for romance, it's probably when you're going to do the occupation. You might not want to do the occupation of a wizard if he's a wizard because it's not going to show much. It's very important that you precise nouns and active verbs that can sometimes pop up for the reader. If you have a really good one that will actually serve a purpose more, then this isn't necessary. And if you're finding a lack of finding the keywords, if you can't find any inspiration for that, then use songs that revolve around your story, or even poems. Don't take the name of the poem, but maybe there's a specific line you like. Use a word from that just sounds like it would match your story. It's very important that it matches your story. Okay, number 3, you need to think about if your title is a part of a series. And there are different ways you can go about this. 1, they could just be completely different titles through the book. I mean, the Twilight series is that way. You don't call it the New Moon series. You call it by the first book, which is the same thing. There's 4 books of the Twilight series. Each of them have a different name for each book, but yet they all are, when we're talking about all 4, they're called the Twilight, which is the first book. That's exactly what's going to happen with yours if you decide to go this route. You can do a similar name or formula, such as the Divergent series and the Insurgent series. There's Divergent, Insurgent, and so all of those will just, all the 3 books there, they ended with the int. And so that same formula, when I speak of Insurgent, you probably will automatically think of Divergent. Now at the same time, the whole series, all 3 books in that series are categorized under the Divergent series. which is exactly what's going to happen to your book if you go this route. Now, you could do the same, and sometimes with a different subtitle with each book, such as the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. It starts with Harry Potter, and this is actually the route I went to. My first book is Superers the Potent. My second one is Superers Lost and Abolished. So when you talk about a specific book, you'll add the subtitle, but when you're talking about the whole series, you'll say the Harry Potter series. You're talking about all 7 books. Or when you're talking about all 10 of my books, you're talking about Superers. So that's kind of how that goes. After you weed everything out like that, and you decide, okay, now I have about 5 or 6, maybe even 7, that seem pretty good, then you need to start eliminating the ones that are misleading. Your reader is going, the saying goes, don't judge a book by its cover. That's exactly what they're going to do. So, and your title should, of course, be on the cover, and that's what they're going to read. It's also going to be on the binder when they're just looking through the library. So, it needs to be eye-catching and kind of give a little bit of what is in your story. You need to think about, when they read this title, what do you want them to think, and what will they think when they read that title? Once you weed out the ones that are misleading, it's very important to Google your title, because you might end up having a title that somebody else has, or you might even have a title that is a name of a different product, like an album or something. And so when people start searching up your book, that will pop up instead of your product, and that will not get you buyers. Not only that, you probably should not name your book Harry Potter because, it's already taken. So you don't want to get something that's already taken. Once that's weeded out, you might have 3 to 5 left, and this is where you can just choose your favorite. Or something that I think is pretty cool about this step is you could just make a poll online and ask people who are following you on social media, hey, which one do you like the best? Which one would attract you the most? And this kind of kills two birds with one stone, because you're supposed to be very engaged with your audience to begin with and your followers on social media, so they'll buy your stuff. Doing this will make them feel like they have a say, and they will probably buy the book if they got to say in the title. So that's my little tips on how to title your book. I don't know what your book's about, so I can't give you suggestions to that. I just kind of went through the process that I did. I absolutely Googled my story. That's like a must-have step. Make a list, and you should be able to do everything else fairly nicely.